What is going on, IK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are back again giving you some more of that quality IK goodness and just Gucci stuff on the regular. Today, I am really, oh my god, I almost fell down. I'm really excited to announce our new initiative, and I actually think it is really big, and I cannot tell you how long I've actually been wanting to do this for, ever since I kind of got the idea from another game that I played, which we'll touch on here in a moment. But before we get started, as always, make sure you guys sub, like, ring the notification bell. And, of course, if you want to join and be a part of our Discord, you can find a link to that in the pinned comment and description down below. Okay, so what am I even talking about? So I started putting together this idea of having this kind of council of kings, queens, king/queens council, where we reach out and we try and get, at least to start with, at minimum, one representative from each server, right? Someone who can kind of speak for the server, or they can just speak for the governing body, right? Because maybe they're just more social, they're more active, right? Regardless if it's a lead or an R5, right? Or just someone who's kind of viewed as, you know, hey, this person can go there and not only represent the server, but they can also be a liaison kind of more so between our server and the group, and they can also kind of include themselves in certain conversations. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But as of right now, I've reached out to servers 1 through, I think, 112, with 113. I think we need to reach out to tomorrow or today. Possibly. I have to check the dates. So how we're doing it is that servers have to be 90 days old, right? And the reason there is because if your server is 90 days old, then 1, migration is open for you, and then 2, at that point, you're probably more solidified, right? You pretty much know for sure kind of the direction, the trend that the server is going in, where you are as your governing body, probably have more things ironed out, right? Just more likely than if it was in the first 30 days. So that's kind of the minimum that we have, is that your server just has to be 90 days old for now. And you just have to elect one person, right, at the moment to represent your server, right, on this group. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about exactly what the group entails, but let me kind of first show you where I'm going with it and kind of where I got some of this inspiration. So if we take a look at a server here, this is actually Chisgle's server from Rise of Kingdoms. He has a channel on here called Council of Kings. And this is actually initially part of where I got the idea from. And you could see here that basically how it works is that you just have to verify that you're a current king or queen of a server or of a kingdom in Rock, and then you get access to this channel. Once you do, you're good to go. But there's nothing really defined in the channel, right? Like, the idea at face value is really good. It's cool. But there's really nothing that happens, right, from it. At least I should say nothing that we've publicly seen or that has been publicly announced, right? So we can kind of only go off of that. But when I come over and we go to, let's just say, for example, you know, our channel that we have on my Discord, you can see here that I have like a whole Council of Kings section, and we have it for different languages, right, that we're kind of using like an auto translation bot, so that way if you basically talk in one channel, it auto populates all the messages in all the channels. So think of this like a universal world chat or a universal main chat, where anything you post in the US area or in the Spanish channel or in the Chinese channel or the Korean channel, right, it's everything is being posted at the exact same time and being instantly converted over to that language or that native language. We have things like an overview, which you can see here. We have an announce channel, right? We have a votes channel, meeting notes, right? I mean, this is something that I am so excited to do. And I will say now, for those wondering, if you are in any of these servers, right, if you're in a server that's 90 days old and you currently do not have a representative that is here, then please let us know. I actually might be making some of these channels public. Like, for example, I might make like our COK list, which I understand how it sounds. Some people have brought it up already. I think it's kind of funny. We might just go to like KC for like King's Council. We'll see if we change it. But outside of that, right, some of these things, the plan of over time is to eventually make some of these things public, right? Like, either we make some of like the general chats public, or maybe just like the list channel, maybe like the meeting notes channel public for things that we talk about, right? Some things I would really like to make public, but I want to try and get as many people in as possible. So if you are in a server and it's 90 days old, or you're coming up on 90 days old and you already have a representative for your server, right, one person, reach out to me. You can find my Discord in the description and possibly the pinned comment, if not a link to our server where you can then DM me, and then we can get you added. To start, let me kind of explain what I'm hoping is going to be the purpose for this and what I'm really excited to try and bring it about just a little bit more. And so, number one here is that, right, we're planning to be an engaging and social union, right, of kings, queens, leaders from all over IK with aspirations along with being the community's beacons in some respects. Right, some of the examples that we hope for this council of server representatives to be to do or be. I'm like, what am I typing? I get where I was going with that now. Is a resource and kind of a think tank group amongst current server leaders, right, to meet and build rapport with other server reps. I think establishing relationships with other servers and an opportunity and a way to do that in a centralized place is fantastic for numerous reasons. One of those being the next one, which is like access to communicate for future KVKs. So if you are joined, right, you immediately kind of get access to at least having one contact in another server, which you could use that for things like KVK diplomacy. Maybe you want to reach out because you're part of maybe a group that's planning to leave or move and migrate, and now you have a contact, in which case, please let me know so we can update whoever the new person is going to be in your server. And then, right, have things like thread discussions about the game. These can be topical discussions. These can be server-wide game discussions, or server-wide or even game-wide discussions that we have amongst the group to kind of get thoughts, feedback, opinions. We can do things like have votes, right, to kind of see where the majority of server representatives are leaning to kind of get more of an accurate indication for how how the majority of the servers game-wide lean on certain topics. I think that is a fantastic opportunity and a great way that we can engage the people here. Part of this council in a more engaging way, where we can see kind of where people really feel on certain topics and issues. Doing things like, for example, being able to organize ourselves and send coordinated and organized feedback, no pun intended there, to IK with signatures ideally from every server. This is something I think is very unique because we're kind of almost forming like what I would refer to as a union. And even though it's not really that, it's more so about being able to, again, if we put together something like a feedback document, right? As an example, for some of you that know, I like to do these feedback and suggestions round videos, right? We've done about 5 or 6 so far, where we'll take feedback from the community. Instead, now we can say things like, well, we can go to IK and say, hey, we have 100 servers in here, a representative from each that speaks for their governing body or their group of active alliances in that kingdom. And everyone here has signed off. You have 100 out of 150 servers that have all signed off on that we would like to see these changes, or we'd like to have these things be highly considered. That, in my opinion, is a lot more impactful and more meaningful, right? It carries more weight when you are submitting feedback like that to the team, instead of having it kind of be compartmentalized and isolated to degrees where, you know, I'm doing it or someone else is doing it and I only have 10 or 15 or 20 people that provided feedback. It's just not as big when you say it like, well, hey, these people who represent this server have all discussed this with their governing body players, which is arguably and hopefully their active alliances. They have come back, provided feedback, and everyone kind of signs off on this. That is something that I don't think any game in any kingdom builder, let me say specifically, has ever really done that I have seen. So that is one of, I think, probably the biggest initiatives that we're hoping to do here. And then the last big one is doing things like having bi-weekly or monthly voice meetings, right, about the game's state of affairs, other related topics, and then we can possibly release this as kind of like a community video podcast, or a video podcast to the community, right? And I think that, you know, kind of like if you're doing, it's like a United Nations, like we're doing a United Nations summit, so to speak, right? I think that could be really cool. And these are, of course, just some things, right? This may not even include everything that we hope to do with this group, or maybe things that we'll eventually find out and figure out along the way, or that come to mind that we can try out and do, because we're just kind of collecting players and representatives from servers that want to be a part of these conversations. They want to be included. Right? And I think kind of giving that opportunity to people is absolutely fantastic. And that's something I am really excited about. So I'm trying to get as many people in here as we can. I can tell you right now that we actually have a pretty good list, right? We got 29 representatives currently out of the 113 servers. So yeah, you are out of 112. You can see here, 113, I have a note here for when they hit 90 days so I can reach out and message the leads. But between, right, you can see here a bunch of people already that we have added. And again, I'm still waiting to verify a few others as well. I have a few others that I'm still in the pipeline with, just waiting for them to give me some more information. And again, I'm hoping this video will be another way. So if you do not see yourself on this list that you see me scrolling through right now, or if you are a member, an officer, or a leader, a part of one of these servers that is not on this list, please DM me. Right? Again, you can find that in the description. If not the pinned comment, you can at least join the server and then DM me from there as well. And I would love to get you added on this list, right? Again, as someone who is either elected or if you are already in a position, right, to represent the server, then of course I'd love to get you added not only to the chats, but also to this list. Because right now we're mainly just collecting bodies for now, without that being completely bad or ill-intended in any way, to get as many people in as we can before we really start diving into anything, right? So we're just kind of, some chats are happening right now, but it's really just kind of, fun social engagement that is currently happening and nothing that's really kind of officially starting, because I want to try and at least get, my hope is to try and get to like 50% activity, right? I would like to at least have half of these servers, right? So like if I'm at 112, I'd love to at least have 56 players, 56 reps in here before we kind of really start hammering out some of these other things and kind of getting into some of the topics and other things that we can dive into, along with it just being a nice social place, kind of like an invite-only club, so to speak, where players are able, reps are able to kind of just communicate and have fun and relax as well with other people. I think that's another kind of great social aspect that a group like this can also have the opportunity to do. With that being said, that is it for me. I would really love to hear your feedback and essentially what you guys think about this group. Do you think it's a good idea? Yes, yes or no, or why not? And then if you do like the idea, or even aside from that, if there are things that you would like to see this group do, right? That would be the big second question I put out there, is that if you're just hearing about this for the first time, if you think that, hey, maybe Boss didn't mention this, or hey, here's a great idea on what I would love to see this kind of group be able to do for the game, the community, anything else related to that, etc., let me know in the comments down below, right? Because this is something that I will even eventually ask the group here on, hey, what else do you think we could really do with the group, right? What other areas do you think we can utilize and kind of take advantage of this collection of server reps for? Because those will be things that, again, I might not think of everything. And even though I have hopes and kind of a direction that I'd like to go with, right, thinking outside of the box, having more heads than just one is always great. So let me know anything and everything you guys are thinking in those comments down below. That is it for me. Until next time, we'll catch y'all later.